Ladies and gentlemen, I have some shocking information to share with you. I have some shocking breaking news, the likes of which you almost never hear about. Very, very rarely does this happen. And when it happens, it is shocking news. But I think I might have made a mistake. I think I might actually have been wrong about something. And I know it's hard for Warrior Princess to believe that I was wrong about something, but it just might be true. I want to talk to you today about your ego is not your amigo. Neither is it a Bueno servant. Don, I got your email. I'll take care of that right away in the move. I completely forgot. My apologies. We got it going. Hello, Jeff and Princess. I'm going to assume you're talking about SANDRA because that would be appropriate. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, your ego's not your amigo. And I think my mistake before was saying that ego is a terrible master, but ego can be an efficient servant. I don't think so. I think I was wrong about that. Last time I thought I was wrong, I was mistaken. But this time, I might have been just flat wrong. Your ego does make a terrible master, and your ego also makes a terrible servant. So if you look at the meme or the picture for this show, it says kill your ego. I think that's the thing that we need to do. Christopher Michael Doherty, somewhere along the line we're related, Christopher. He said ego equals evil, like letting go of your nasty bidding. Yeah, let go your ego, ladies and gentlemen. And somebody's asking me about an address. I've got to give them real quickly. Talk amongst yourselves as we do that. I'm sorry. Lakeview Drive. Have to get somebody the old bunker address in Clearwater. Hopefully they'll buy it. Clearwater, Florida. All right, so there we go. Back to our business. Sorry to be so rude. So many things going on, so many balls in the air right now. So your ego's not your amigo. Your ego makes a terrible master. I also think your ego makes a terrible servant. And I'm actually going to go to the New Testament Greek scriptures for some backup on this. Kind of strange, huh? But I'm going to go to the New Testament scriptures, and I'm going to read one here that says this. And this is the Apostle John. And I think this is probably one of the things that John really did right. And he says, I can of my own self do nothing. I hear and I judge, and my judgment is just because I don't seek my own will, but the will of the Father. I don't do anything out of my own ego. As I hear, as I judge, I'm able to judge rightly and justly because I'm not seeking my own ego. I'm not calling on my own ego, but the will of the Father who sent me. Now, this is a cold read, folks. I haven't looked at this verse. So if I'm wrong, how could I possibly be wrong twice in the same broadcast, right? But if I'm wrong, let's see what this says anyway and see if I'm even on the right path, because I think it says what I think we're saying. So let's take a look at this. Wasn't it verse number 30? Let's take a look and see if I'm on the right track with this or if I'm just clothesline preaching. Okay. Oh, snap. Look at that word right there. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this is what 20 years of Christian ministry will do for you. This is what a Bible college education, this is what 36 years in this will do for you. You just know things. You just know things. I didn't know ego was here. You just kind of get things. It just comes to you. And thanks to the Father and Mother for dropping this kind of stuff into my mind. Bam. It's exactly what we're talking about. Exactly what we're talking about. Ego. John says, out of ego, I don't do anything. Let's look at 1473. Ego. It's ego. Wow. Now I feel better that I made a mistake because this was really good. It's okay to be wrong every now and then if you're right most of the time. Oh boy, I feel good now. So John says that I don't do anything out of ego. I don't do anything out of ego. Why don't I do anything out of ego? So John is saying, he's not just saying my ego's not my master. He's saying my ego's not even my servant. He's saying I don't do anything out of ego. And don't take my word for it. Let's look back and see what he says he does out of ego. Nothing. He does nothing out of ego. No one, none, nothing. Not one, no one, nothing. John says he does nothing out of ego. So for those of you who are like me that thought that ego could be an efficient servant, you were wrong. Not me. You were wrong. Ego. If you can't do not one thing, none, nothing out of ego, then ego is not your amigo. Ego is no bueno. All of it. Ego can't be an efficient servant. It's a lie we tell ourselves to allow us to keep a little bit of it alive instead of just killing it. Instead of just killing that ego. Let's look back at this verse for a moment and see what other gems we can glean from this portion of diamond scripture, in my humble opinion. I don't do anything out of my ego. How does he keep from doing anything out of his ego? He doesn't do any judging out of ego, which means to decide, to think, to judge. He doesn't make any decisions out of ego. He doesn't separate things by ego. He just doesn't do it. And 29:20, this is a little bit different of a judgment. He doesn't make any decisions whatsoever. He doesn't cast any sentences. He doesn't make any accusations. John saying, when he said nothing, he meant nothing. And John saying, because I don't act out of ego at all, because I do nothing out of ego, my judgments, my decisions, they're just. They're what? They're righteous. They're just. They're impartial. Why are they impartial and just and righteous? Because he doesn't do anything out of ego. Okay. So if he doesn't do anything out of ego, what does he do it out of? He does it out of the thelema. Ooh, is that powerful? You guys that know anything about deep spirituality, John says he does things out of thelema. Thelema, ladies and gentlemen. You need to look that word up. Wish, will, desire. The wish is the act, the will. He does what he does not out of ego, but out of the thelema of the one that has sent him. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We all do our actions out of the thelema of the one that has sent us, out of the one that's serving us. If you're serving the enemy, you're doing the will of the enemy. You're acting in the thelema of the enemy. If you're serving yourself and you think you got it all together and you're the smartest thing on 2 feet, then you're doing the thelema and the will of your damn self. And ego is front and center in all of those situations. Oh, I am doing the will of the enemy, so I'm all about ego. I'm not about divinity. I'm not about spirituality. I'm about me, myself, and I, my 3 favorite people. And I've got a big ego, and I'm going to use it. Oh, but see, I'm very spiritual. I'm very smart. I have a YouTube channel. but I still think ego can be an efficient servant. So I'm gonna use my own ego and my own will and make some judgments. And then there's the smart people that say, I know I'm living in a mud hut body that's designed in sin, built by a flawed, failed, fallen deity. And I know that everything that comes out of this is dirty and rotten and no good. So John, the guy that was closest to the guy that was the best guy that ever walked in this earth, if he walked in this earth, I happen to believe he did, just can't prove it. But even if he didn't, there's a lot of good teachings that coalesced around a guy that could have been here. So it doesn't really matter in the end, because it's the words, the teachings, the truths that have spirit and life. And that's what the guy said, if he really was a guy. But anyway, but John, who might have been Mary Magdalene, who might have been the guy, and the guy wasn't a guy, but it was a gal. Yeah, it's all on this channel if you want to look it up. One-stop shop for apostasy right here at the New Cosmic Knowledge channel. But the way that the writer of the book of John was able to say that I judge righteously, I make my decisions righteously, I live my life righteously because I've killed my ego. It's not my master. I don't try to even let it hang around as a servant. I kill it. And what I do is I do the will of the Father. I do the will of the Mother. I do the will of they who have sent me. And if you're doing the will of Father, if you're doing the will of Mother, or if you're a Christian and you don't like those terms, if you're doing the will of the divine, all your decisions are going to be right. They're going to be just. They're going to be virtuous. They're going to be pure. Your actions are going to be just, right, virtuous, pure. If you're doing anything, speaking anything, manifesting anything, physically doing anything that's not right, just, pure, peaceful, holy, you're acting in ego. And you're not being your own amigo, cousin. If you yell, you're an ego. If you pout, you're an ego. If you're jealous, you're an ego. If you're angry, you're an ego. If you're super sad, you're an ego. An ego's not your amigo. Kill that ego. Kill that ego. Kill that ego. One more time from the English of the King James Version. Of my own self, I do nothing. Out of my ego, and you saw it in the Greek, out of my ego, I do nothing. The reason that I judge and my judgment is just is because I don't do anything out of my ego. You know it says ego. I showed it to you. But I do all things out of the will of the Father and the Mother, the divine, which has sent me. And then it's interesting, it goes into bearing witness about yourself. That's ego. If you say you're great, then you're not. Let other people say you're great. Let other people back you up and recommend you and talk about how you walk on water without getting your feet wet. But of yourself, don't do it. Out of your ego, don't do one thing. Ego, not amigo. Ego, not master. Ego, not even worthy as a servant. So fire your ego, or better yet, set fire to your ego. Burn, baby, burn. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is some pretty strong teaching right there. That's some pretty strong teaching right there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go back to the top and see what some of the smart people in this chat room have said. Letting your ego go. Absolutely. Ego is in title opposition to the Holy Spirit. I'll go with that. Guy Deb 2005. Much love, Jeff. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you, Rooster. Cockle-doodle-doo to you. I live right down the street. Okay, great. Hey, Warrior Princess, did anybody say anything? Love only manifests in those who have no ego. Love comes to those who have no ego. Eduardo Salgado. That is pretty interesting. That's pretty profound. Love only comes to those who have no ego. True love, I think, perfect love, sacred love, certainly is best served in hearts that, in minds and bodies that have purified themselves from ego. That's really powerful stuff. Thank you for that, Eduardo. Love you, Jeff. Haven't been all wrong. Stomp out the ego. Yes, thank you very much. That is a whole lot of Bible study, Joseph. And Sandra D says the ego is destructive. It absolutely is. When I die, I cast a shadow. Good stuff. The ego says should, would, could. The spirit doesn't say it allows. Good stuff, Sandra. Powerful stuff. Right on stuff. Both ego and testosterone are not my friends. Well, I wouldn't put testosterone in the same category personally. Very interesting stuff. Great chat in the chat room. Great questions. Great commentary. What if someone really close to you dies? Wouldn't that be sad? Of course it would. And Lou says, Lego my ego. Yeah, you let go your ego, I'll let go my ego, and we'll be all right, each and every one of us. Hello, Breaking Dawn, Deborah L. Smith. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Kill your ego. Your ego's not your amigo. Your ego shouldn't be your servant, and your ego cannot even be a servant. It needs to be fired. Warrior Princess says, laugh out loud. You don't need ego, Jeff. You got me. Thank you, Lois, and I agree. If you got Warrior Princess, you don't need a whole lot else. So nice to be with you all here today. The divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. I salute you for being here, seeking after truth. Great stuff, powerful stuff. And thanks to Sandra D for her help and support and input on these broadcasts. And with that, I'll try to be back with some more broadcast excellence today. But folks, we're the last generation of real humans. We got to get out of this ego stuff, and we got to get into listening to the will of Father and Mother and doing what we've got to do. Global Witness does rock. We'll be back together again real soon for another edition of Broadcast Excellence. Until then, keep asking questions, keep questioning answers. Unindoctrinate yourself, create yourself, build the life you'll love. It is an inside job. And on tomorrow, we'll be bringing out a brand new edition of the Serpent and Dove Show with myself and Sandra D. So look forward to that. And we're going to bring that to you on tomorrow. And until then, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Could you even comprehend true love without the ego or adversary? I think so. I think so. And we are the last generation of real humans. Let's get out of ego. And once we get out of ego, then we can really get busy.